You're welcome to this edition of The Inside. I am Babla Jonathan. Cameroon is actively pursuing industrialization with focus on agro-industry, energy and digital sectors. The industrialization master plan currently under development aims to increase the industrial sector's contribution to the gross domestic product GDP from 13% to at least 24% by 2025, a key target in Cameroon's vision to become an emerging nation. And this plan also emphasizes creating a favorable environment for free enterprises, modernizing infrastructure, strengthening support institutions, and providing financial and material support to small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in the country. Minister Calistus Gentry, Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development. Once more, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Right. What's your perspective of the industrialization drive of Cameroon today? Many think that the country is still lagging behind.
Thank you very much. We think that Cameroon merits to be the leader of Africa in industry by its geographical location. The fact that if we attack anybody producing things in Cameroon, Nigeria will simply provide a market. The CEMAC zone will provide a market. And we have experimented. If we produce more clinker in the north, we can even sell up to Sudan. So we have a vantage position as far as our geographical location is concerned. So we have developed a strategy for industry, which is, I simply call it, developing industrialization toward value chains with the goal to alleviate import substitution. As simple as that. So we have already identified a couple of value chains, and they are in place. Let me start even in the mineral sector. You have bauxite, you have alumina, you have aluminium, and Prometali already completed aluminium to start producing aluminium products. So value chains. Take cotton. We have, in the next 3 months, I'm happy to announce to you, SICAM will become operational. We are developing cotton, and we are finding a strategic partner to produce. We shouldn't be importing things from China for our 20th May and all the 1st May and the rest. We're going to put it into production. We have the cocoa value chain. You can go on agro-industry. Take limestone. We take limestone, we produce clinker. We don't import clinker to produce cement. That's why the Prime Minister inaugurated in Garwa, because we take limestone, change it to clinker, and produce cement. The only problem why that has not reached the south is that it's too expensive to transport by road. So it's cheaper to buy clinker by export from Turkey to Douala than transporting clinker from Garwa to Douala.
Why is it so?
Because transport by road is very expensive. Transport by ship is very cheap. So if you produce in Garwa, you can only use it in Garwa or export to N'Djamena, which is very close. So we are developing value chains. And the most spectacular example is Clay Feldspat's tiles value chain. During the war of Ukraine and Russia, which is still going on, we discovered that Italy was frustrated. It could not produce as much tiles as they did because their raw materials to come from Ukraine. And with our input, we saw that this raw material, we are blessed with it. If you go to the West region, Kake, spreading southwest, northwest, all those areas, they have very good clays with good feldspats. That is the raw material. And it's a very simple process. So we developed the technology. As I speak to you, we are producing tiles in Cameroon already from Kribi. And in September, Kake will go into production. And that makes us number one as an internal country, a single producer of tiles in Africa. This value chain development is so practical and simple. Once you make a value chain, you are already doing import substitution without pronouncing the word.
Apart from...
I can go on and on and on. And Kake is developed by a Cameroonian. It's not even a multinational. We only took the technology from Italy.
Apart from giant multinationals, how many industries do we have in Cameroon?
It's a very, very difficult thing to say. Let's start by defining an industry. What we sign, we have two categories of things we sign. We have what we call classified establishment. When I sign it, you can call your industry, you have first degree and second degree. That means that boulangerie is supposed to be a classified establishment. The petrol station is a classified establishment. So you have to go inside, then you have first class classified establishment. But there again, it's another area in which I have to move to work, because you can't take a petrol station possibly and put as a second classified with a boulangerie, which is very risky, because those things are based on the risk involved. So if we look, we have thousands of industrial things that are authorized to function. But how many of them are industries? We can reduce them to hundreds. How many are factories? In the English terminology, a factory is supposed to be a smaller unit of an industry. So we can talk of hundreds, and we can talk of signed papers. But then you have informal things that are happening, which the ministry has to go around running to make them become formal in order to enter our taxation system. So it's a sector we are working to clear. But one of the problems we have is that there are a number of irregular activities. Mr. Babila, you agree with me? Somebody cannot leave school and he has never worked. He's looking for a job. When he doesn't have one, he creates a bureau d'études, a consulting office to approve industries to start. How does that work? I mean, if a director of industry retires from this ministry, it's a good product to start a consultancy. That's why we are having industrial accidents everywhere, because they don't study to say the industry is here, a market cannot be, a hospital cannot be nearby, this must be this. They must work with town planning authorities. They must work with environmental agencies. So these are all the things we are trying to put in place.
Industrial production in Cameroon, as of now, is still quite very low, even in the agro-industrial sector. Industrial production of, that's why earlier you were talking about the fact that we import, somebody said we import even a toothpick, we import even toothpicks, we import rice, whereas there is a huge potential of rice production. In Cameroon, we import things that we should have been producing them in Cameroon. Why is industrial production in Cameroon still very low?
Value chains. If you take forestry, it's the same thing. We are doing economic zones. One is in maturation. Take an economic zone. Place all the guys who do wood out there. We'll process the wood. We'll produce plywood. We'll produce toothpicks. We'll produce all. Our option of value chains. Take anything. Pharmaceuticals. You develop a value chain. Raw material. And to tell you the truth, only those who transform are rich. Only countries which transform are rich. Switzerland does not have anything. They don't have a forest. They don't have a cocoa tree. But they are specialized in the tertiary sector, just rendering services to people. And they have one of the greatest standards of living in the world. So we want to develop value chains. And then the tertiary sector will start from there. As long as you remain in the primary end of it, I like the French word, amount. Take a cocoa farm. You and your son are working on a cocoa farm. There are two of you employed. But what you produce in that cocoa farm, if you are going to send it to Switzerland, is going to give jobs to thousands of people. So we must make sure that the problem is not about foreign companies. The problem is about it happening in Cameroon. US companies are based in China because the labor is cheap. Donald Trump celebrated when Taiwan invested $100 billion in the US. If America can welcome foreign partners, why will a country that has not even started developing complain? What is important is that activity should take place in Cameroon, employ Cameroonians pay taxes in this country. That is where we get it wrong. That's why we must make our country attractive and use legislation to make sure that people produce in Cameroon, they give jobs in Cameroon, and we export. Our export earnings will be high. We are too concerned with foreigner, this, that. The world does not function that way, unfortunately. So where we are in our economy, we cannot insist. We need to make our country an industrial base. That will be a catalyst to bring more industries and for us to become rich in order to be involved in the very industry. It cannot start by us saying that let's wait. One day when we are rich, we'll make industry work. That doesn't work. If the United States can be fighting and making sure that people invest in their country, why would we think that we have to prohibit people from investing in our country except we are the people to do it? It doesn't make sense.
Is the environment conducive for investment in the industrial sector?
Of course, in the 2013 law, which is under revision, we made sure that we get incentives to people. API is doing that. People come into this country, they are given a lot. It's to make Cameroon a destination for industry. And there are factors that must be taken care of. Energy is a prerequisite. And if we are speaking here and this lies go of, people will start saying government. But my problem is, has government identified the problem of energy as a problem? Yes. We have the best, highest potential of energy, second to democratic work, because our country is hilly. That's why sometimes they call it the Switzerland of Africa. We are very hilly. And we are blessed with a dense hydrographic network. So, we are building currently the best infrastructures for energy in Africa. But while that is happening, we cannot solve all the energy problems. And even if we are going to build energy up to 10,000 megawatts, until we give Nigeria cheap energy, they will not develop. Sometimes maybe they can develop by nuclear energy and the rest, but we have everything going for us. We have gas in large quantities. This is a good source of energy. We signed with Equatorial Guinea, the largest transfrontier gas project in Africa. We have hydropower. So our potential to develop energy and sell alone can sustain this nation.
But we seem not to be exploiting that potential. For example, the renewable energy sector.
Now, let me tell you.
We are still building dams, costing hundreds of
dams is
millions.
Dams, you cannot. Solar energy is meant for small concerns. You can't develop industry with solar energy, Mr. Babu. There are three areas: nuclear energy, hydro, and energy from gas. This is what you should be looking at. Those are things we do for local communities and you can't develop energy with solar energy or with wind energy. They are very, very variant forces. So let us base on our potential and talk big. We shouldn't go to small things that do not matter. We have hydro, we have gas, and who knows? In future we might explore our uranium resources and develop nuclear energy. But I'm just saying that the decor is set for a potential that allows us to have the basic foundation of building a viable industry in Africa with raw materials. Listen, I was recently in Dubai. That's a great nation that has put a strategy and a vision. 1960, they were moving on camels. The desert, there were no houses. But put a vision from their oil sector. And today, they are dealing only with two things. I was a Minister of External Relations for Commerce. They are dealing with two things: services and trade. And I said to them, make us a partner. Come and work with us, transform iron ore in Cameroon. In Cameroon. Then you take this iron ore and continue with your industry. You become an industrial power as well. So, let me wipe this from the minds of Cameroonians. This apathy for foreign investments. They rate a nation's activity by foreign direct investment. But we are the very people saying, oh, this is foreign. What do we want? We don't have. Some strategy must be put in place for people to follow. And what we are doing in the ministry is a simplified strategy, value chains. Toothpick, forestry. The raw material is there. Tiles, clear. the material is there. Cotton, you produce wrappers and t-shirts for people. Value chains. That's how Cameroonians, and I'm very impressed. When I go to Douala, I see a lot of concerns. People are producing sugar, they get molasses from Brazil. Cameroonians are involved.
The constraints expressed by local producers, those who are trying to produce one thing or the other, notably financial constraints and what they call lack of incentives from government, and also the taxation policy that seems not to be very favorable. You must be aware that small and medium-sized enterprises, for example, have a lifespan of between 6 months and 3 years, and they're off.
Everywhere in the world.
And they have collapsed.
The number of businesses, small businesses that close up in England is even worse, because we have put up a strategy. The Ministry of Small and Medium Scale, we work together on many things. We have put up the agency for norms to say your product is good. If you want to get finance for something, let the product first be good. Let it be something that we can eat and not die. Let it be something that other people, if we put the one from Europe and you're on, you cannot force me to buy something because I'm patriotic. I must buy what is good for me to like. You can produce wine here and ask me that I must not drink Bordeaux, I must drink that. That's the problem. That's why we want to create norms, that things that are produced are standard. Only those type of things can even receive financing from the bank. But if you tell somebody to just conform to the norms, he believes that we are just worrying him. Look, recently we saw people dying in Douala because they consumed something which was produced. I recently inaugurated CLE. But all these things must pass through a standardization test. Take drugs. If you were to produce drugs in any country in the world, it takes about 10 years before it's validated in the market. So we have to be careful. So there are a lot of things that this education me and you are doing to inform the people is what is going to be the grounds on which people know where they are. When you have an idea, we're promoting youths to be innovative. Let me give you a very good example. The Chinese don't sit and complain like us. They see somebody make a plane. They see somebody make a car. The technology for making a car is available as a scientific tool. When they make their plane, they don't call it Boeing. They don't call it Airbus. When they make their car, they don't call it Mercedes. They use it in China, and they give it a name. Now, the European Union might say no plane of that nature will land in Europe. But those planes are flying in China. Have they fallen? That is not counterfeit. That is called technological innovation. So if our youths create things out here, we can start introducing them in the CEMAC zone. We are innovating technology and we put a brand mark to it. Of course, China will do it faster because they have close to 2 billion people. So they already have a self-made market. Okay? So we have to understand that the whole picture must be laid out as a strategy for us to fit inside. If anybody gets up, he takes a baobab, squeeze it and put in a bottle and say, oh, you are not consuming. They bring it to a meeting and say, you must drink this one. You cannot force people. Something must be good, and I'm sure of what I'm doing for my health. So that's why we're trying to put order, that there should be norms. Take the famous whiskey. It's a scandal that such a thing could even be allowed to happen in our country, because there's a good local company that was producing good whiskey. How did these people sleep themselves in? They are producing whiskey as if it's in a carpentry workshop.
Earlier this year, you shut down some
factories. And when you shut them down, people will say all kinds of things. Who cares? That's not important. As the days are proceeding, we'll proceed with more. I cannot, my conscience does not allow me as a minister who is involved in industry to see that where they are producing a consumer within a toilet is found nearby. Dust everywhere. You see the misery of the people. And when you want to close, some people will say, oh, they are giving jobs. What jobs? How much do they pay those poor people? And these are products that are toxic, to say the least. So we are going to be limited by certain legislations, but we only come in to say, okay, if you don't meet industrial standard, we can still close. So we have given them a certain time and all that, but while I don't wait for that time to come, if you are not meeting industrial standards, you should not be producing anything in this country. That's where some of our attacks come from. But who cares? You just have to do your part.
We are 10 years to 2025, 2035. How far is the government going, as far as your sector is concerned, with the industrialization drive, the 2035 industrialization vision of the President of the Republic?
I'll give you a bit. To look at this industry thing simply, our option is the best. Value chains. Look at cement. I'm presently putting Mintom, limestone, as a project. If we are able to produce clinker again here in the southern part, my aim is to break cement prices. These prices should be affordable to Cameroonians because we are one of the rare countries in the world with pozzolan. But if we allow a syndicate to control our cement prices, somebody must make it, break it. People will adjust. That's how gravel was. People will adjust. So if we want to increase industry and they say, okay, don't, but I'm so happy that my hierarchy and everybody believes in a free economy. But my problem is that when we are opening new cement factories, let us not cluster all of them in Douala. Let us put them in the Kribi industrial zone. Let us put them, as we have put one in Garwa. It's serving the people there. Let us put one in the southwest. Let us put one in Komsamba where the pozzolan is found. That is called localization of industry. So if you look at it with me in value chains, take anything that you want to produce, source the raw material. What is industry? Is taking a raw material to transform into a usable thing using two things, energy and human resource. That's all.
About the localization of industries, some years back, we had information about a car assembly plant that was to be established in Bamenda. What happened?
Well, yes, I think the promoter of that project, unfortunately, he let Mr. Wanga, so rest in peace, had that dream. It's a very long procedure. These are private concerns. We are only facilitators. We make sure that we give you the necessary documentation. Business is very difficult. It's not a state announcing, they are private ventures. You can only blame us if the person has not got all that he needs to start his business. So it's like you can start building a house and somewhere in the middle you find that you don't have enough funds to finish the house. There are many projects like that, but just know that most projects are private sector concerns. The projects you are seeing in Cameroon, like mining, Sonamin will enter at the right time. That is when it becomes a state joint partnership. But our role is to make sure that we lay a plan, facilitate, make good legislation with 2013 incentives allowing people to benefit. And the taxation and all the things we are saying, foreigners, other people find it attractive. That's why they are investing in our country. Every country, Mr. Dangote will tell you, he has problems in Nigeria. People are always going to have problems with taxation. They will want the best. But there's a balance that the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Economy, Customs, and the rest will always play to have an equitable ground for everybody.
No, Mr. Minister, tell us what you have been doing concretely on the ground to ensure that we move fast. Maybe
I couldn't say
we move fast to 2035, yes, when Cameroonians are expecting to see an emerging nation.
You ask me 20 times, I will give you value chains. Because as the mining industry is developing, we have already set up an industrial plan accompanying it. By us insisting on alumina, which is going to cost $2.5 billion to build, it's going to transform Central Africa, because that plant is going to make alucam to become super profitable. And we already have 10 people vying to buy alucam just because of the convention I signed recently. Wherever we are producing a raw material, I want to thank those who made this ministry to be mines, industry, and technological development, because we work with agriculture, we work with livestock, we work everybody that whatever we are going to, if we are not eating it here, if it has to go out, we should transform it. That's our vision. And I'm giving you a simplified model. Don't worry about big words. That's a government plan to work under, the Industrialization Master Plan. But take it from me, it's a simple term, developing value chains. When those value chains are developed, making sure that we don't export things in raw form, we can live 2035, 2040, 20, even 30 before it's time. Our problem is that we are the supplier of raw material in the world. Many people learned that lesson long ago, and we are only learning it now. As long as, let me give you an example. If you take bauxite, take it. Even the best that we are saying will sell, $50. Transform it to alumina, $300. Transform it to aluminium, $2,800. Take the jobs. If you want to dig the bauxite as we dig and sell, you will not touch. How many people work at the mine site? Move it to alumina. It's going to take thousands of people to work on that plant when it's built. And move it to a profitable aluminum venture. It will take thousands of people. So the value chain concept is that what is our raw material? Let us export this raw material with added value. And therefore, jobs will be created. The value of what we are selling will be. It's so simple that people cannot believe it. If you want to preserve tomato, a tomato is going to get rotten in the west and Fumbot areas and the rest. But transform it, preserve it, and we'll sell it to other countries which are not lucky like us to have this plush forest and everything. I call this a Garden of Eden. So that is, to me, the simple answer. Let us look at saying that our goal is to produce much, but don't export it in its form. Transform it. Cocoa. The Central region is the greatest producer of cocoa. Why are all the plants found but in Douala? We managed to open one here. But I encourage people to cut down their cost also. If the production is done where the produce is found.
The transformation.
Exactly. So these are all ideas we are putting in place. But the simple slogans on which we base our service. First of all, in the mining industry, we have, by law, 15% must be transformed in this country. That's why I say Cameroonians should know who's mining. Integrate yourself in the downstream sector. Produce industries to transform iron ore. Don't only sit there and be complaining about people are taking our minerals to where? If you produce it, you still sell to the world. Will you sell it to Cameroonians? So this is a cartel of companies that are operating mining in the world. And we have to align. But we are building our own local companies which have started the iron ore industry. I think that in all fairness, we are on the right track.
Right, Mr. Minister, let's take a look at what the newspapers reported this week, and we'll be right back in a moment. The Guardian Post reports internal squabbles within the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) political party over the candidacy of President Paul Biya. Cameroon Tribune reports a statement by the Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson René Emmanuel Sadi, who says that the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) is preparing for the forthcoming presidential election with confidence. In another issue of Cameroon Tribune highlights the fact that the ANDP and MDR political parties are still faithful members of the presidential majority after the breakaway of the Cameroon National Salvation Front and the National Union for Democracy and Progress. On the right top angle of the Horizon newspaper, the senior associate for African regional director of the Washington-based National Democratic Institute for International Affairs, Dr. Christopher Famunyo, warns Issa Chiruma Bakari and Bello Buba Magari against playing games. Both are former allies of the President of the Republic and the CPDM regime, who recently announced their intention to run for the presidential seat. Larry Times says, to boost country's democracy, Dr. Christopher Famunyo advocates strong institutions, not strong people. Municipal updates, reconstruction and development. Minister Tasson presents thrilling facts and figures about the progress made so far in the implementation of the Presidential Plan for the Reconstruction and Development of the Crisis-Stricken Northwest and Southwest Regions of the country, PPRD. He did so recently in Bamenda during the 7th Steering Committee meeting of the PPRD. And the median says, during his working visit to Bamenda, Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Jangute hailed what it calls peace gains, making reference to the impact of the implementation of the PPRD. According to the Post, the PM expressed satisfaction with the PPRD projects and instructed the tarring of Bamenda's road. As reported by Cameroon Insider, the PM reaffirmed government's vow to fully rebuild the Northwest region, and the PM is reported by the Voice newspaper to have urged the population to embrace peace and a reconstruction process. News Watch, Dibamba Industrial Port Zone. Compensation clearance paves way for imminent work start. Some 129 families affected by the planned 500-hectare industrial zone along the Dibamba River at Misole 1 by the Port Authority of Douala have received financial compensation to the tune of 1.3 billion francs CFA for their landed property. News Hub, ambassador of Equinoxe TV, gets another recognition from Senpa. Smart Njikan Gabriel, known by many as ambassador on Pidgin News in Equinoxe TV, has once again been crowned as best Pidgin TV news presenter in Cameroon. He was awarded during the second edition of the Cameroon English Language Newspaper Publishers Association Awards, SENPA, that took place in Boya last weekend. You're welcome back. Now let's talk about the diversification of the economy. Cameroon aims to diversify its economy beyond its dependence on oil and natural resources. How much have we done in this perspective of diversifying the economy?
Yes, diversifying the economy, we go to the same principle. The President and the President of Equatorial Guinea signed one of the largest transfrontier gas projects. And there we are working, SNH, many people working to make sure that we'll set up a lot of side industries which will make LNG to be exported in the world. Everything that you produce naturally, as best as you can do, don't export it in its raw form. So that policy is being translated in the fact that how many years ago? 12 years ago, we used to hold meetings at the presidency about lack of cement because the populations were to rise. Today, people are blaming me of producing too many cement factories. There are two in Idea, not yet inaugurated. There are two others being constructed. So we are increasing the number of industries with a very work-out plan. What do we need more? We still have a problem. We still have a problem because people are not able to buy cheap cement. So we are working to make sure that the factors that are necessary, energy and clinker, if we work on these two factors, cement must fall, the prices must fall. We are getting there, and people have to be patient. So we are a free economy. The best developed countries in the world allow investments. Let us not always sit every day and cry about people investing in our country. Foreign direct investments is a sign of a good economy. It's not depicting the laziness of the people. No. It's an attractive economic tool that is used as an index, even of transparency. If people come to your country, it shows that it's good for doing business.
At the same time, local production should be encouraged.
Very much so. I've said over and over, if you go to Douala, all the gas transmission plants, we are producing gas bottles. It's produced by Cameroonians. We represent Coca-Cola. I inaugurated recently. It's not a foreigner. We are doing it. in every sphere. What I am very encouraged, I happen to have lived in West Africa. If you go to countries, I don't want to call their names, in West Africa, which we think that are very economically sound, everything, the right to boulangeries are owned by foreigners. But in this country, the base of this,
an example of what
well, I don't want to call names. You are free to call names because you are a journalist. But if you go to Douala, just go and do an industrial check. You see the efforts our people are making. This is a great nation with a lot of entrepreneurial ability. And I said yesterday, and I'm repeating it, the president of this country, I want to thank him very much, has met this living together, Viva Ensemble, a great option. What is happening is that there's a mixture of genotypes, and we're producing better quality people who excel in football, who excel. Right now, we are one of the best performing in the United Nations systems, who excel in culinary expertise. People come here and wonder what we eat. We excel in boxing and all the things. Now, we should excel in entrepreneurability in Africa because we have the best geographical location. We have the best raw materials. If you just spend time to produce food and feed Nigeria, we might not even need minerals. So we have everything going for us. But what we're lacking is a vision. We work within a vision and structure things, structure the mining sector to be productive. If people go and dig everywhere, we are throwing that goal away forever. But if we structure it, it starts paying dividends. People go to Betua. It's a boom. You see better houses. It's just starting. Go to Baturi. You see better houses because the trickle down is already being felt. And it's only the beginning. Anybody doing all of these projects, like Semimekan, is a must state where he will do a social project for the people. That is industry. Must be done with a strategy, must be done with a vision. And that's that vision that, for a simple understanding of everybody, we are working by value chains. I've quoted tiles, I've quoted cocoa, I've quoted cotton, Sikam, I've quoted bauxite, alumina, iron ore. Just take what you want. Don't export it in its raw form. Put a strategy. Change. If we consume it, okay, no problem. But if we have to send it out, our export earnings, if we send it in its raw form, somebody is going to make money out of it. And we are simply making him to be rich at our expense. That is the notion of value chains.
In terms of technological development, Cameroon seems to be either stagnating or advancing at a very slow pace.
I'm hearing from you. But let me say, this ingredient in this ministry has been tackled this year, or was it last year? We relaunched the technological days, national technological days, where we encourage young men, as I said, to invent things, technological innovation. Now, when you look at technological development, which is guarded by intellectual property, when you have something, you must preserve it. If I invent something and I don't preserve it, somebody will use it. The guy who invented penicillin patented it. So we must patent technology. And that's what we have been able to do, where you see that in what they call geographical indicators, we are the best in Africa. Not just because we have 3 already, we have some lined up, but because our geographical indicators have economic impact. Let me give you an example of Côte d'Ivoire has a geographical indication called Acheki. It's just like fufu or something. It has no impact. But our cocoa, it's a world phenomenon. Penja pepper is used in 5-star hotels in the world. Oko honey is used by royalty. Now we have listed this, and again it comes to this our geographical location. So in that way, this ministry is in charge of intellectual property, and that's the way to harness technological development. I just quoted the example of us seizing the opportunity when Italy could not more that small break. We use their technology And when Kake will start producing tiles, there will be better quality if we want, because labor is cheap here. It's the same equipment. We'll produce tiles that we can now reverse the train and start selling tiles to Europe. Rather than, And why would children live here and be dying in the desert if we can do all these things and change the lives of people? Technological development. Let the youth of this country get alive and spend time being productive. The social media is used by the world. A small guy in China will invent this thing you are seeing, and we use social media to advertise it to Australia, to Canada, to Africa, and tomorrow is.
Mr. Minister, talking about young people, I've seen 2 young people who created something remarkable. In 2010, there was a young man in Bamenda during the scientific technological days or something like that. He came up with a radio station or something like that in his community. And in his community, the people on air, they don't have signals of CRTV or this station, they don't have. So he created something that using some antennas that he fabricated and then put it on a very tall tree, and from his room he could link all the stations in Bamenda, including CRTV, and enabling his community to hear the news from all the stations. And all he got was a 60,000 prize, and that was all. There was another young man that we did a report on him on Equinoxe television. He was fabricating these heavy-duty trucks with local material like bamboos, and then causing the trucks to move like the normal trucks that are fabricated and we are using around. And we showed him on television, but we didn't see anybody, any government authority helping these young people to develop the talents, the gift, the skills that they have in them.
Government works through platforms. We have put a platform, we already started, where we go around all the regions and collect talent, so that all this talent, every region has the opportunity to present what you are saying. When we bring this talent, we are going to have it. All of them converge in Yaoundé. We examine it. There's an exhibition. That exhibition is meant for businessmen to come and look at what. There's a program in the UK called the Dragon's Den, where young men come with their talent, businessmen sit, and they say, this is what I can do. So I'll put this money, I'll take this business and run it 80%. That's the platform we're developing. We are not calling young men, if you give them 1 million, it wouldn't change anything in their lives. It will not become an industry. The only people who can make these ideas work are people who will buy this idea, multiply that prototype into something that will be sold beyond Cameroon even. That's how China developed. So, the fact that the minister will see what somebody meant, I will just call that boy and bring here. All right, you don't want 60,000. Let me give him how much? Why would that change? We have a platform, and all talent should be captured and brought. First, there's an exhibition. And if you have the chance, we'll show you the book. The names, pictures of all those young men are there like heroes. They are the heroes. They are seen, and that motivates them. So the prize, as you saw last time, they appear on television, speak. That's what they should sell the idea to the business world. The government does not build industries. The government creates a platform for people to build industry. There is a big fund set up, which is billions in Africa by OAPI for the about 14 Francophone countries, which will reward these young men and take them beyond to give them start-up capital. That's why we are preparing that we absorb as many of them as possible to present them on a bigger forum so that they have And even the World Trade Organization, the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, can support them. So we have revived this, which has been dead for a long time, about 10 years. So we are putting it back in place so as to captivate this local talent and put at the hands of businessmen, put at the hands of international organizations to exploit this talent and develop it.
All right, we'll take interviews of the week right now. When we come back, we're concluding on the digital sector.
The whole environment in Boyana is dead. People are not sleeping, mosquito everywhere. And this death like that is not good for the human health. So actually we are really suffering, but yeah, we don't really know if the SACAM is working, or maybe we don't know what the city council or the council is doing about this death. It's not only here that you can see death in Boya. Everywhere in Boya, you see death everywhere.
Bangem is in the Kupe Maninguba division, and in this division, our electricity supply is not always constant. You'll find situations, especially in the hospital, where you have a patient whose life depends on the instruments you are using, which also depend on electricity. But because of the absence of this, you cannot even administer treatment to that patient. So it renders work very difficult. You have children or neonates that were supposed to be in the incubators, but because there is no electricity, you have to refer them to Kongsamba, which is very far away. So something like this coming to us at this moment is coming to improve our quality of care that we offer to our population.
5 years later, the results of the recovery phase speak for themselves. Indeed, the rehabilitation of basic social infrastructure has notably improved access to education for nearly 30,000 students, access to health care for more than 15,000 patients per month, and access to drinking water for more than 300,000 people. Regarding the reconstruction and development phases, the major road projects currently underway are enabling better connectivity between various localities in the two regions by helping to open up economic production areas. Despite these encouraging results, much work remains to be done, given the immensity of the needs, particularly in areas of transport infrastructure, access to water and electricity.
All the projects that the Prime Minister Head of Government has visited, starting from the University of Bamenda, from St. Joseph's College, from the newly constructed stadium, to this Women Empowerment Center, without peace, none of this would have been possible. So if we got to this level, we can say we have concrete proof that life is almost back to normal in the Northwest and the Southwest regions.
Is it the same situation in rural communities?
I think so. You must admit to the fact that in the Northwest particularly, the struggle seems to have moved to the cities. We used to notice high levels of insecurity in all the municipalities. But as of today, the strong conviction that of the 7 divisions of the Northwest region, you have just 3 where there is active insurgency. Otherwise, on the overall, I think the situation has improved tremendously. This is also noticed when you look at the economic impact of the crisis in the 2 regions. The indicators are on the upward trend.
The administration, the civil society, the church leaders, the traditional leaders, the elites, to put their hands on deck to ensure that we stop as soon as possible this issue of ghost town. It is not necessary. It is not for anybody's advantage. So we should do everything. It is, on the contrary, sapping away from the economic potential that the Northwest possesses. I've been round, I've seen the constructions that have been going on in spite of all of this. So why continue with this foolishness? It is no longer necessary.
The road situation has gotten worse over the years. And I think we have a possibility as a community and a people, first of all, to say what is bothering us, because you can't get your problems adequately addressed if you don't put them on the table. What His Excellency the Prime Minister did here was wonderful, because it permitted us to seek and speak the concerns of the communities. And as you know, we said the primary concern is access to our farms, access to schools, to our markets, and basically virtually all the divisions have problems because roads have been in disrepair, not worked on over time. We are happy to say that government has taken it seriously, and as you heard, the Prime Minister said there are just a few things left. For instance, for the perimeter road in Bamenda City to be tackled once issues of the pipes for water, for telephone, for lights, or when all of those are resolved, you will see work starting.
Thank you for staying with us. Mr. Minister, the world is fast moving in the digital perspective. There is a global revolution that is sweeping across the world. We have artificial intelligence, we have every other thing that is coming into the digital sector and transforming practically everything. Where is Cameroon in this revolution?
Let me even start before I go there, just to conclude with the technological development, how well we have done. As I said, our cocoa, which is now selling at 5,000 something, we are going to be listed to the Lisbon Agreement. That means we'll leave Africa, the 14 countries only where we are projected, and move to the world stage. That's when you see Penja pepper prices going higher. Oko honey will even go further. And then cocoa that is at 5,000, I bet you it will go higher. So these are all instruments that the social media, which is the lower part, now IE has taken over. And there was an industrial revolution. It was about machines doing things. But we are moving to artificial intelligence, which is... So I think this answer can only lie in our youths, which were they coming very strongly. And we have set up in our universities, we have centers for excellence, CATI. In all the universities, the ministry works with those centers as part of our technological development drive. We are connected to Ripple. As I said, everything that a Cameroonian is going to think, individual effort. There are Cameroonians that have been to NASA. They were recruited based on their talent. But as a nation, we must create incubators. Young men who will dream. Young men who will dream, and we protect those dreams. And as I say, the mixture of people in this country produce a very special hybrid. So we are capable of leading technology, but it must be harnessed through the type of things we are trying to do. We have mini units. It's not only the ministry of in charge of technology. We have higher education. We have scientific research. We have a lot of things. Government activity will be cohesive, and I think that with our drive towards intellectual property, we are trying to take center stage to put all these talents together, and we'll be moving along with the world. But if we want this Cameroon, this Africa, to me, is like the Garden of Eden. We can't live here to go to the desert because somebody transformed that desert to be a paradise.
We have to transform our own.
Reverse the train. I think that in a real world, we ought to be refusing people visas. We should be the one dying in deserts because we are going to look for what does not exist. The whole secret is about transformation. The whole secret is about value chains. The whole secret is about coming out with a policy to the nation that anytime I sell this wood to somebody, I'm making him rich. I'm making myself poor. Anytime I'm going to take my cotton and give away, and then buy wrappers for 20, I'm making myself a slave. That must be a national thinking. The problem is about mentality. Government has put structures. If you come to obtain something, to do something here, as I say, every Thursday we receive people here. We do not allow a document to stay on my table for 24 hours. That's government part to facilitate. The communists tried. You can't develop and industrialize a country towards government being the investor. Government must create the enabling environment for people to develop.
Unfortunately, that seems not to be the case in many other government offices, where people are always complaining of taking too long or going through cumbersome procedures with very simple things. So we're going to wrap up here.
Yes, like I said, we are trying to maybe break into a mindset, and that comes with a lot of resistance. We want to lay the foundations on which mining and industry are built. But I just want to let everybody know that the mindset, the mentality, people are still so much concerned about post. They cannot take actions to change because they are afraid. Might be, if I do this, this will happen to me. But I think, as I said in earlier reviews, the changes that we are putting into the ministry has put us under lots of attack, under a lot of persecutions. There are even claims where people believe that this ministry belongs to a certain region. And the position of an interim minister is very, very difficult because it's like an empty space where everybody thinks it has to be occupied. So you see yourself under a lot of attacks, inventions. Of course, I'm very happy that people know how far the social media can go to paint people black. But we remain to our cause. We believe that is the right thing to do for this nation. I personally believe that I come from the private sector. The president of this country gave me a chance to serve. I never knew that somebody from the private sector could become a member of government. And this country did a lot. It gave me a chance to be educated in the best universities in the world. I do what I do with a lot of passion because it's my time to give back. And will not relent our effort, despite every challenge, to make sure that the foundations of the mining and industrial sectors of this nation are solid through our endeavor.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind attention. God bless Cameroon. Goodbye.